In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 Easter eggs you missed in popular Marvel movies. Easter eggs are not a new thing. They've been hidden in movies for years, and it's a way for producers to interact with the audience. I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, then you're wondering what kind of secrets are hidden in the Marvel movies. Well, there are a lot of them that you'd probably be very keen to know about, but today we're only going to go over 10 of them. Number 1. Within the Avengers movie, Tony Stark has a conversation with Loki in which he offers him a drink, and they chat about some stuff. Tony refers to the Avengers as Earth's mightiest heroes, that kind of thing. And this is directly quoting a line from the comic book description of the Avengers that appeared on the front covers since 1963. If you're pretty familiar with the Marvel comic books, then you probably would have noticed this Easter egg. But if you didn't, now you know about it. Number 2. After showing off old archived footage of Hank's Ant-Man suit and exploiting him to investors, Darren Cross mentions the idea of an actual suit that can shrink, saying it's a little bit hard to swallow, calling the account Tales of Astonish. This is a direct reference to the Tales of Astonish comic series, where Ant-Man actually made his comic debut in 1962. Ant-Man is loved by fans all over the world, but for those that are less knowledgeable with the comics, this probably wouldn't have crossed your mind, and you likely didn't know about this little Easter egg. Number 3. When Steve Rogers and Bucky enter Howard Stark's exhibition of future technology, we can see a red figure inside of a glass cage that is wearing a bright red jumpsuit. It turns out that this is actually a reference to the original Human Torch, who was the very first superhero created by Timely Comics, which went on to become Marvel Comics. This is a pretty awesome reference in my opinion, and a pretty sweet Easter egg at that. It's very easy to spot, but you need to know a little bit about the comics to realize what this Easter egg was referencing. Number 4. During the Iron Man 2 movie, Tony Stark is sorting through his father's belongings, and if you pay close attention, you'll notice an original Captain America comic in amongst other papers. This is the first real hint that we get to any sort of Captain America / Iron Man connection, and we all know how that turned out in the end. At first, the comic looks really out of place, so unless you were specifically on the hunt for Easter eggs, you probably wouldn't have spotted this one the first time around. Number 5. During Captain America: The First Avenger, we get a moment where Steve goes about his goodwill tour, spreading positivity and love throughout the country. At this moment, he acts out a scene in which he punches Adolf Hitler. But did you realize that this exact moment where he punches Hitler was actually reenacting the cover of the very first Captain America comic book? Again, just like so many Easter eggs on this list, if you'd read the comics and you know quite a lot about them, you probably would have realized this, but if not, well, now you know. Number 6. During Thor Ragnarok, we find out that Hulk is the champion on Salazar. But did you ever think, who came before him? Well, there is a brief moment where we can see some of the champions' heads that came before Hulk. It turns out that they were the heads of Beta Ray Bill, Ares, Bi-Beast, and Man-Thing, who are some of Marvel's most powerful warriors. This is a really cool way to give some love to past heroes. Number 7. During the Iron Man movie, when Rhodey has pilots chasing down Iron Man, he gets a phone call from the man himself, and his ringtone is a MIDI version of the 1966 Iron Man cartoon theme tune. This is pretty easy to spot as long as you have actually seen the 1966 Iron Man cartoon, that is. If you haven't seen it, you probably had no clue that this was even an Easter egg. Number 8. Although it wasn't actually the real Infinity Gauntlet, as it was pointed out to us in Thor Ragnarok, it's still a pretty massive thing that an Infinity Gauntlet was housed in the walls of Odin's vault. As I said, it wasn't the real gauntlet, but it was still a huge thing because this fake gauntlet was basically foreshadowing the fact that there was going to be a real Infinity Gauntlet later on. We saw it before we even knew what the Infinity Gauntlet was, and it's pretty cool to be honest. Even if you did know the Infinity Gauntlet storyline from the comics, this was still an awesome Easter egg. If you blink, you probably would have missed it, to be honest. Number 9. During Captain America: Civil War, Steve and Tony don't exactly get along, and we actually get a scene where they are beating the life out of each other. We get a pretty snarky line from Captain when he says, "I can do this all day." This is a pretty direct reference to his fight that he had behind the movie theater in the first Captain America film. His scrawny little physique didn't stop him from saying, "I can do this all day," back then, and it's something that he still says when he's known as Captain America as well, which is pretty cool. If you have seen the first Avengers movie, and you have a pretty phenomenal memory, you probably would have known that this was an Easter egg. But if not, well, now you do. Number 10. And last but not least, we have a pretty huge Easter egg which ties in with Star Wars. You see, Kevin Feige absolutely loves Star Wars, and he actually says that he is obsessed with it. He goes on to say that somebody gets their arm cut off in every Phase 2 movie. Every single one. In Thor, The Dark World, Iron Man 3, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Captain America Civil War, there is one main character that loses a limb. This is a very direct reference to Star Wars and a character getting their arm cut off in every Phase 2 movie, like I previously said. Any fan of the Star Wars movies should have recognized this reference, but if you're not a fan, then you probably had no clue. That's all for today, though. What'd you think of this list? Let us know in the comments if you know of any other pretty cool Easter eggs that we didn't talk about in today's video. But with that being said, this is the end of the video, so I'll see you guys in the next one.